Yali Madad. Today is day 2 of Mediation Awareness Week. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about educating the young, educating our future generations on the skills and competencies required to live life in community and to hone their emotional intelligence, to deal with conflict in day-to-day life, and to have the skills to have difficult and sometimes easy conversations. But before we start, what I wanted to do was to give you the context of the processes and procedures we use within the Jamat and within the Ncab system when individuals come to us for services. When individuals submit to the Ncab system for resolution of their disputes, they sign a submission form. And in that submission form, they agree to coming to the system in good faith, abiding by the rules and processes that are set up to assist in that process, ensuring that the ethics of mediation, things like fair dialogue, transparency, and most importantly, confidentiality, are all observed. That signature is a promise. And we always want people to be able to keep those promises. An important part of that submission agreement in that signature is also ensuring that the integrity of our system is maintained, that we have a level of discipline and rigor with the way in which the work is undertaken, so that wherever we are and wherever we're asked to defend our system, we will be able to do so in any court of law. When I think of the submission forms and the processes around that, I think of them almost as fire insurance. You don't want to have to use rules, just as you don't want to really have to call on fire insurance, but you do know that you must have them. And part of that work is also clarity of process, ensuring that everyone understands what is involved in coming to us for resolution of their difficulties. The most important part, of course, is that people come voluntarily, do the things that they have to do because that is the right thing to do. It's the ethical way to operate. A few years ago, we started thinking about how some of those skills would be helpful in other areas of life. And a joint program with a couple of our trainers and the Tariqa board, or the Ncab system and the Tariqa board, brought together a start of a small mediators program in Portugal. I am very pleased today to have a conversation with Rahim Ali and Shayla Ali, who were initially involved in this small mediators program in Portugal. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's start with you, Rahim. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of this program and objectives. What is it that we were trying to accomplish with this program?
Sure. Yalimadat, everyone, and thank you, Zuli, for inviting us to talk about the small mediator project that was developed in Portugal. Let me answer the first part of the question with a story. And this story will enlighten everyone about the importance of mediation, but also touch upon the genesis of this program. And the story is about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he was a young man. People of his town, Mecca, decided to rebuild the sacred mosque, the Kaaba. Since there were many big tribes and families, they worked separately to rebuild the walls. But at certain point, a violent argument broke between them. Each family wanted to have the honor to put the last piece, that was the sacred black stone, in its place. So this disagreement lasted for many days, and it turned out to be a situation that increased to a point where they were ready to fight. So the prophet was called to mediate this dispute. After hearing all the parties and all the tribes, he took his cloth and laid it on the ground. He picked up the black stone and laid it in the middle of the cloth. And then he asked each leader of the family to take the border of the cloth and to lift it up all together. So they raised it to the certain height where the prophet himself took the stone and placed it in the corner in the corner of the Kaaba with his own hands. So in this, he resolved the conflict. So you see, mediation and conflict resolution is not something new. It's not something from our days of recent modern times. It has roots in the tradition since the beginning of Islam, and it is an integral part of the ethics of our faith. Therefore, here lies the foundation of our program. So, as you stated, CAB Portugal decided to partner with other sister institutions, ITRAB, Youth and Sports, and also Education Board, aiming to prepare a training for children to resolve conflicts according to the ethics, to the principles of our faith, and also aiming to contribute to the quality of life and for the families and the community. So you also ask, and this is the second part, what were the goals that this program had? Well, this program intended to raise awareness on the children and youth of our community around peace and the importance of conflict resolution to achieve peace. And in the last, it wanted also to impart a culture of mediation.
Mm.
The second aspect was we wanted to develop skills, life skills. We live in the world where there's constant change, constant transformation, and where disagreement happens. So knowing how to deal with disagreements, with situations that are difficult, will be useful for our youth. The third, and I already stated, it's to promote the ethical values of our tariqa and of our religion, like justice, generosity, cooperation, all of those aspects. And lastly, to create awareness on the role and the work of CABs all around the world. So, in a nutshell, this is what the goals of the programs were developed.
Excellent. Um, and Shayla, you will be in a place to identify for us what did we actually achieve? Rahim has told us what the goals were, but what did we achieve in that program?
Well, what I thought was so beautiful is to share some of these life skills, which are life skills that are useful to us all, with children. You know, there's some of them as young as 8 are learning about the importance of not discriminating against others or the power of listening versus just hearing. You know, who's had that situation where you are hearing something but not really deeply listening to them, or engaging in how to just be a calmer person when disputes arise. So, what was so beautiful for me is hearing how much the children had enjoyed the program. But also, some of their parents were surprised in saying, "Wow, I've never seen my little boy that calm before." Uh, or he didn't want to argue with his sister tonight. So we had all sorts of fun comments of that nature as well. And it just really warmed my heart to see that and to see how they could link all these wonderful concepts that we have in mediation about non-conflict, about being non-judgmental, about linking that with the ethics of our faith and seeing how this could even apply to them in the playground. We used a lot of games and a lot of examples from our faith to just really help them apply that to their lives, their young lives, and to share that with their families. So I'd love to. We had so many beautiful quotes, but I'd love to share one of them from one of our participants. And she says, I really enjoyed these 3 days because I learnt several important things like respecting the differences of others, listening to opinions, apologizing, the importance of mediation and the questions we ask, this will be very useful, because with all these skills acquired, we can learn to be better people. And that's really what we're aiming to do.
Isn't that so sweet? That is wonderful. Thank you both very much for, first of all, your initiatives and being able to see beyond the silos of institutions, to be able to come together and say, together, this is part of our work. It's not something that one institution can do by themselves. It is part of our engagement and involvement in life of our Jamat. So thank you very, very much for your leadership and your work in this area as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am pleased to have a conversation with Chairman Abdul Aziz Rafiq, Chairman of Ncab Pakistan, to talk about Yalimadat. Chairman Aziz will talk about how the program, the genesis of the program being adapted for the Pakistan context. Chairman Aziz, what made us decide to go down this pathway?
Thank you, Wazir Saiba, Chairman of Ncab. Thank you so much for inviting me today to speak on the youth mediation program developed by Pakistan. When we went through the Hidayats of Maulana Hazrat Imam, Ncab Global in 1996, Maulana Hazrat Imam mentioned that it was important to educate the Jamati youth on the ethics of faith. He also stressed that we need to introduce at the primary level notion of good and bad, honesty, truth, friendships to the murid at a very young age, so that it becomes part of every murid's ethical baggage from early age. It was my mission to work on dispute prevention. And I thought that starting from a very young age to educate the youth about ethics, the honesty, the truth will be very helpful. And at the Ncab level, we developed 2 phases of youth mediation. One was the orientation session, and second was the mediation training, which you also mentioned in ETR that we're going to train 50 youth mediators. But unfortunately, because of pandemic, we are held back. The idea was to Jamat, to help the Jamat, to help the youth, of course, to develop empathy and patience, to learn to see things from the point of view of others, to appreciate the differences between people and different opinions of people, so that they might be able to constructively resolve conflicts, which are facts of life. Now, why did we do it? What was the goal behind? The goal was to help youth understand and respect different points of views of others, so that they can deal with the conflict situation through a constructive dialogue. View conflict as a normal, natural part of life, which leads to having healthy and open communication with siblings, with parents, with families, members that bring them closer. And in this way, in fact, having distrust or having problems, it resolves it in a very calm and cool way when you communicate and when you make people understand. So this is what I call the process of mediation: make people understand and do exchange views and help them. Now, this is how it helped encourage learners also who are in conflict to voluntarily make use of the mediation process, help develop skills in solving a common problem of life for others through techniques of mediation. And it's also important to understand that they can reach agreement that addresses interest of everyone through dialogue. To develop future potential mediators for CAP systems. Because these people, when they're exposed to CAP, they can become good mediators for Pakistan. And even they can be very helpful in their own voluntary service, and they can resolve the disputes over there. The key learning was that we did expose them to various skills, soft skills or ethics and self-discipline, good communication skills, negotiating skills, anger management. And all these were interactive sessions. So we had two programs, one with ITRA, where we had 35 students, and one we did with youth and sports board in the youth camp, where there were 150 students, which was very well received and accepted. And that last program was done on 29th of December 2019. But unfortunately, as I said, things are all on a hold up. The impact was to reduce conflict in the Jamat, prosper healthy communications, and educate youth to understand problem and respond to it, to provide awareness to the youth of Jamat and through them to the families about the functions of Ncab and why mediation is important and why mediation is the future, which now is being considered in Pakistan as on the top of the line, because even in government offices and government circles, mediation is accepted as the mode of solving problems. Thank you.
Good. And Chairman Aziz, you have brought for us our possibility of speaking to two participants, Cheyenne and Sarita. I'm really delighted to be able to have a conversation with young people themselves.
I think you will be able to see what kind of an impact this program has had on them. And I think you'll be very happy.
That's great.
These are the youth who was in class grade 13 and class grade 11.
Excellent.
So the young students of Jamat, very bright, very intelligent. And all of them whom we wanted, all of them wanted to be part of this program. We had limitations. We could only invite two.
Excellent. Thank you. So I'm pleased to have a conversation with Sarita and Cheyenne now. Yalimada to both of you. So we'll start with you, Sarita, because
yes.
you're in Karachi right now.
Yeah, I'm in Karachi right now.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be able to speak all the way across the globe. It's wonderful. So tell me, Sarita, what did you find most interesting about this program? What did you learn? How are you using it? Whatever you want to tell us about this program.
The program was pretty much informative and very much explanatory, and very much it gave us so much. It was so much enlightening for me, because it basically promotes the idea that the conflict is not very big deal. It's only just a difference in opinion which we have in our daily life. And this program has very much objective and very much learning points which I had in my life, and I also implement them. Like in my daily routine, I always face many conflicts with each other. So after attending this program, I also became a good listener. That they have to listen to each other so that the conflict must be resolved, and don't remain silent. At least convey your point of view, that what you have to tell them, what you were trying to explain, so that it may not go to the big conflict which we have. And I also got to know that you should also take an initiative if others fight, if the other is having an issue among themselves. So you don't have to remain silent, but at least have to take an initiative and try to get resolved their problem. Means we can also go to them and talk to them, that what actually your point of view, what is your opinion about that, and for what you are having the conflict. And it's only the very very small thing that I learned at it turned my life a lot. It was really a turning point. This session was really a turning point for me, because after the session I always used to go to the person whom I have fight before, and then apologize my mistake, and then also try to convince my point of view, that what I was trying to say to them, and they also understand that, and it betters, it makes my relations stronger with everyone. So I was very pleased and very lucky feeling that I could attend that program.
Excellent. Thank you. That's very helpful. It's two messages, is your own life, but also participation in resolving disputes with other people as well, so there is a sense of active engagement in the Jamaat. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you, Sarita.
Thank you, Madam.
Cheyenne, tell us about your experience.
The youth mediation program was a very understandable and learning program. I must say, I gained a lot of knowledge over there. Another way I can put it, it was a miraculous program for me. Miraculous program in a way I can say that when I initially attended the program, first I thought that it is a program like any other programs that are conducted by the RECs on the topics of faith, ethics, and many others. But when I attended the program, at first I didn't thought that the teachings we are getting there or the knowledge I'm gaining would be a part of my personality, but indirectly those things were being a part of my personality. I can also share the experience with you if you want. Now, an experience was before I attended the meditation program. I would be a part of the conflict, I can say, or a supporter of a conflict in many ways. But after the attending of the mediation program, what I did was that I was in the favor to resolve the conflicts rather than being a supporter of a conflict. And I would there was a lot of knowledge which we had in the program, one of which was communication. As per me, communication is a very important aspect of life because communicating with each other can help you avoid many conflicts and help you achieve many goals or objectives you desire. An experience I can share is that whenever I used to speak with my friends in my school or college, I would usually rather not talk because I was a shy person, and I would usually not go on stages or perform any act because I was even had a stage fright. But when you communicate better, you build confidence in you. You have a feeling that yes, you can do it, and you can start communicating with people. You have a good experience in that. Another thing I would like to say is a negotiation, which I have learned. Negotiation in a way that when you communicate with people very well, we're communicating with people very well, it helps you understand their problem, understand their parts in this which they are not able to resolve things. So you try to hear both parties, hear both people, and in a way you can reach a common place, a common ground where both the people in a conflict can have a mutually agreed thing that yes, okay, I understand you and he understands it, because every people which I picked up from the program, that each and every individual has their own set of mind or they have own opinion, and we must always respect that, because if I feel I am right, the other person will be feeling that he's as well right. So you can't really disrespect any opinion. Every opinion matters, and from this I also picked up a part for listening. Good listening sometimes, when you hear some people's complex issues, half of their grievances are over at that time only, because they start having faith in you. They start thinking that yes, this person is listening to me calmly, and he can understand my feelings, so half of their grievances are over there and there. So it really helped me achieve many goals in my life, to resolve many conflicts I face in my schools or in my neighborhood, or in the ground while I'm playing. So it really helped me to change my life and others who are nearby me.
That's excellent. Thank you so much. That has been a very helpful conversation, and it's really nice to see that it's had an actual practical impact on your lives, not just adults saying, we did a good program, we think it was helpful, but to actually hear from you to say that it really helped. That's really nice to know. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman Aziz, for your leadership in this area. And thank you to both of you, Cheyenne and Sarita. It's been a wonderful conversation. We hope that you have enjoyed listening to this and seeing the opportunities that are available for all of us, to give opportunities to young people to hone their skills, their emotional intelligence, their understanding of the ethics of our faith, because they are going to be navigating a very complex and interconnected world. As we move post-pandemic, there will be even more challenges for young people. And one of the greatest competencies and the most important competencies that they have to acquire is that emotional intelligence, that ability to be able to connect to other human beings so that they can do what no robot could ever do. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about family harmony. So I do hope that you will join me in that conversation tomorrow. Thank you for joining us today. And ya Ali Madad.